Alright boys, if you didn't know, there's a new update coming to MX bikes pretty soon. Well, I guess to the OEMs that update the tires. So today what we're going to do is we're going to compare side by side the current tires, which I'm on right now, to the new tires. I'm not going to ride any of the new updated bikes. This is just going to be updated tires and on the current bikes that are public. And this is the things I wanted to see. Some crashes like this, some slipperiness. I wanted to see how much of the tires play an impact in that. So we're just going to do a lap or two around here and just see where we're at. And then I'll switch over. We're going to do, oh my goodness. Okay, see how, again, I'm really curious to see how much the tires play into this. But right now we're doing the mid-soft tires. I'll do the mediums next and then the sands last. But I want you guys to pay attention to like how much the bike is moving around underneath me. And, you know, where I'm losing traction, how I'm losing traction. I actually haven't done this side-by-side comparison yet. I've ridden the new tires and they feel great, but I haven't like done a bunch of laps and then just immediately jumped on to the new ones. So I'm curious to see how this goes, how this feels. I'm really curious on that hill back there, the one I crashed on, to see if, you know, if the tires can make a big difference, because I know that the new, you know, the new uphill physics, or like if you guys have used the factory bikes, like the factory bikes handle that hill a lot better. And I know after riding the updated OEMs that they handle that hill a lot better. It's not even really an issue anymore. But I'm wondering if just like isolating the tires, you know, how that'll do with those downhills and uphills. I think that honestly could probably be a big part of it. I specifically chose Hangtown for this test for the mid-softs because this track has a lot of like little bumps like that, and you see how the rear end's stepping out a lot, and it has a lot of like little chop, and it seems to lose a lot of traction, you know, pretty easy because of these little bumps everywhere. And I wanted to see, is that like a physics thing or is that a tires thing? All right, well, we munched that hill that time, but watch when I go down this next hill right here, and then I think we'll switch. But check this out, watch how much I lose the rear end going down this hill. Once there, twice there, 3 times. You see how it was kind of like slipping and sliding everywhere? I'm really curious to see what happens when we switch the tires. Greased it. See, losing it again. It's really easy to lose the rear end on these current tires that everyone's playing. Alright, let's switch over to the new ones and see how that goes. Alright boys, we're back and we're on the new tires. Same setup. Everything's the same. Same bike, same public bike, just new tires. And we're going to give it a go here. Also, I just realized I didn't have my reshade on, so that's why the first one looked like boo-boo buns and now this one looks good. So let's see how this does. I feel like I can already feel a difference. It just seems like it's getting way... Okay, I said this in a TikTok if you guys follow my TikTok, but if you don't, these tires feel like they have... Oh, hold on, let's see how it does down this hill. Boys! Okay, tell me you didn't see like the visual difference going down that hill. Or right there. Oh my. Okay, they feel like they have a little bit more forward friction, or like a little bit more friction overall, but a little bit more forward drive, if that makes sense. So like I don't necessarily know that they'll be like these tires are faster. Wow. You see how it handled those braking bumps as well? Like, so I don't know that it'll be, these tires are going to be like, wow, they're so much faster, because I feel like they have more drag, but they seem like they get up and go a little bit faster, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. You'll see when you get them in the future. But like, okay, so that was interesting. So we did lose traction there, which is realistic, so we don't want it to be just beta 16 again. But did you see how I was still able to keep a little bit of forward momentum there and get over that jump? That's something we've been searching for a long time, is making sure we can lose the rear end and still keep some forward momentum. But does that, you know, have we completely solved that issue? I mean, I think that the way the game's built, I don't know that they'll ever be able to, like, you know, I don't think you'll ever be able to ride like Villopoto in this game just based off of the engine, but it definitely feels a lot better. And you can see when I was going through that straightaway, I was still losing the rear end everywhere, but it still seemed to be going forward. Went up that hill fine. Let's go down this hill now. We're going to go third this time. It just, okay, so it seems like when it loses traction, because it did lose traction there again, instead of like hooking and kind of snapping back, hooking, snapping back, hooking, snapping back, it's a lot more progressive and linear, if that makes sense. You know, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's really hard to explain, but it feels a lot better. I mean, that's all I can say is the front end. The front end feels really good. I mean, we haven't even really mentioned the front end. But yeah, the front end feels great. The rear end just feels like when you lose traction, it's more progressive instead of just like, oh, I have all the traction in the world. Oh, I don't. Never mind. My bad. I guess I'll just get better. Now it feels like you can kind of control it a little bit with your throttle, which is very welcomed in my opinion. I think that these new mid-soft tires will probably do really, really well in Supercross. You know, I think I did a little bit of testing on them in Soupy, and it just felt like they got more consistent bite through the whoops instead of it feeling like when you hit the whoops you're losing drive, and it's just literally about how much momentum can I throw into the whoops, which is kind of realistic, but at the same time, when you upshift and stuff into the whoops IRL, you can still keep your momentum going. And it just has felt like in this game, unless you're wheeling or you go about Mach 9 into the whoops, you're not really going to be able to go through them. I feel like these tires help with that. Alright boys, we're over on the medium tires now. This is on Wildcats MX Park, I think it's called. I've never played this track, so forgive me if I'm booty buns. But we're here just to test the tires. I think was searching for a track that was compact soil. And this is the one that they said would be compact soil. So this is what should work with these medium tires. Basically, this is my setup on this 450, just with medium tires, 80 front, 120 rear. And so far, I think what I notice is sometimes coming out of a corner, when I'm getting on the throttle, it seems like it spins a lot. Like I don't have a lot of forward traction. And there have been a few times where I've gone into a corner. I did a couple laps before this, so you can't tell. Okay, so like right there, it seemed like it spun. It did hook up, but it seemed like it spun a little bit more than I would expect. And it seems like there's been... get on the course! Anyway, it seems like there's been a few times where my front has just like it seemed... Okay, like my front has traction, and then all of a sudden, it'll just not have traction. Like it seems for 80% of the time, like we got good front end traction. And then it just won't. Oh, well, we're just going to overshoot this. Again, I'm really not... Oh, it's just the outside line. Chad, that's what we're going to call that. I don't know why I called you Chad. It's a YouTube video. Anyway, it just seems like sometimes the front end just loses traction. It's like 85% of the time. I have great front end traction, and then it'll just completely check out, and I don't. But mostly, it honestly just feels like that rear end is just, you know, not really getting a lot of forward bite. Ooh, that was honestly probably just a skill issue, to be honest. But I think, like I said, the biggest thing is just that rear end, how it seems like it spins a lot coming out of corners. This track is... Oh, yeah. See, that was a good example right there. It just felt like it spun way more than it should. Right there, too. You can hear the revs are kind of high, you know? This track isn't probably the best for testing because it's kind of slow, kind of tight, but what we got to work with... Oh, okay. Did you guys see that? I got on the brakes kind of hard and the front tucked and then it hooked kind of underneath me. That was interesting. Alright, I think I've seen enough on these. Let's switch over to the new updated mediums and see what those are all about. Oh, that was a little mad skills for you. That's fire. Alright, boys, we're back on the new medium tires, the unreleased, the work in progress ones. So let's take a look at the differences here, see if we can notice anything. First thing, just really right there, getting on the throttle, and right there, you hear how much low... Oh! Interesting. I think that could have been a skill issue, boys, but you hear how much lower the RPM is when I'm getting at some of these corners. It seems like these things have a lot more forward bite. A lot more forward bite there. That front end seems to want to tuck a little bit, but oh yeah, you see, just like right there before I crashed, that rear end just it seems like it's hooking up like crazy. Oh, the front end though. All right, hold on, I'm gonna try a 90. All right, so we're on a 90. Typically IRL, if I was running medium tires IRL, I would definitely run a 90. So I'm curious to see if that makes a difference. It seems like it already made a big difference just in that one corner. Yeah, this feels way better. It feels like we got all the front end traction. So that could be part... Oh, that's not the core stock. That could have been a big part of those front end tucks that we were seeing. Maybe we got to run, you know, the right dimensions for, you know, the right tracks. Like I said, you know, in a situation where you're struggling for front end traction, personally, I would have always ran a 90. back in Cali, whenever I was back there riding. Those tracks are super hard packed. I would always run a 90 front just to help with that front end traction. I also used to run like really low air pressures, but that's because I was a psychopath and people always used to tell me I was gonna pop my tires. And you know what? I did all the time. So maybe that was just a skill. Oh! All right. So now I'm feeling like this feels a lot better on the 90. This feels like what I was expecting it to feel like. Rear end has, oh yeah, rear end's got a lot more forward bite. Ooh, oh man, we kind of, and look at that, I got right into that rut right there. So the 90 definitely needed on the mediums. I might give a little feedback on the 80. It felt like a quite slippery, but the 90 feels really good. 120 is feeling really good in the rear, and I think that, you know, these guys are going to achieve what they wanted to achieve, which was to make other soil types other than the soft soil, you know, viable options for track raiders. And, you know, like, it would be really cool. You know, some of the supercross tracks are really deep and loamy and ruddy, but some of those supercross tracks are really hard packed and not loamy at all. And I think by doing this, maybe the track creators, you know, Stoney, when he's making the supercross seasons, could actually make hard pack tracks and like deeper, ruddier ones. And I think that could be really, really cool. So, all right, let's move on to sand, boys. All right, before we get into the sand, I want to show you right now, this is kind of the meta that I've been running for sand. This regular mid-soft actually gives you like way more traction. So I'm curious, I want to compare it to that and then see how the new tires do to see if this meta will go away. So we're over here on E Street. You already know Doc was going to do E Street for the sand. We love E Street. Talkie walkie. Ooh. All right. So honestly, I think the sand traction in this game right now is okay. It's a lot better than it was. There's definitely still some times where I'm just like, man, like that didn't make any sense. But you know, it's definitely a lot better than it was. So I'm curious. I actually haven't ridden the new sand tires at all. So this will be my very, very first impressions. Yeah, so this will be interesting. I think a lot of people really struggle on sand tracks in bikes because the traction is so... I feel like the traction's like almost random. Where like, you know, sometimes I'll go through one corner and I can be absolutely wide open in third, and then the next time I'll go through the same corner, wide open in third, and I'll just do a little loop-de-loop, and it just doesn't seem consistent. And so I think for a lot of the newer players or intermediate players, you know, it's just kind of like one more thing to have to battle in a game that they're already probably struggling with. And so, so I feel like they really, I don't know, people kind of avoid sand tracks. I also think the way that sand tracks are built doesn't really help. A lot of the sand tracks are really, really rough and whipped out. If it's not done like really, really well, it almost can feel like laborsome, you know, like it's like you're at work, you know, you're just clocking into your 9 to 5. But there are some tracks, like a lot of JV's tracks are really, really good. This E Street track is, you know, just, I don't know, just has that flow. Okay. That was interesting. I don't know. I feel like I got a little kick. I let off, and then the rear end totally just came around. So that's one of those things where, like, I feel like that was just so weird, you know, like why did that happen? I mean, yeah, other than like the randomness, I actually feel like the sand traction in this game is pretty realistic, you know, pretty enjoyable, I guess. I actually really enjoy the sand tracks, and I feel like once you figure out that if you run a mid-soft in the front, it's actually better than the current sand tire. It's kind of a little OP. So just because I get more traction doesn't necessarily mean it's better. It's just a little OP in my opinion. It does feel like you're robbed of a ton of power on your bikes. And I know, you know, they're trying to simulate that deep sandiness, which is true. This track specifically, I've ridden in real life, and the track to my left over there, I've ridden that track a billion times in real life. You're definitely on the gas a lot more, and it definitely robs you. But sometimes I feel like it might be a little too much, you know. Especially if you got a new tire. Like, I never really had, riding E Street or MMX, I never had like a proper sand tire. We always just ran mid-softs. At the time, I think it was MX32s. And I still feel like I got around there pretty quick. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what these new sand tires feel like. So, I think we should hop over there, boys. All right, boys, here we go. We're on them brand new. See, I'm on an 80 front now and a 120 rear. So, no more mid-soft, regular in the front. Really curious to see how these things feel. Ooh, I feel like I'm going a little bit quicker, boys. I feel like it's got a little bit less drag than than the other ones did. I feel like I'm... Oh, okay. Well, if I can stay on the course, I've done a quarter of a lap, and they just feel like, oh yeah. They're feeling nice. I'm not gonna lie. They're feeling spicy, boys. I got no front end issues with traction. I feels like I got a lot less drag, but still some drag. Oh. Okay, well, clearly the issue here is Doc's awful skill level and not the tires. But I'm telling you that I'm feeling better on these things. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I've only done one lap, so don't come for me in the comments of like, Doc, you're not a real tester. Little loss of traction there. That's that banked berm though. That's just an MX Bikes thing. I don't know that we'll ever get rid of that, TBH. Shifting's for nerds. I'm just gonna let you know that. I mean, not a huge change, just like an improvement, you know. And I think for these sand tires specifically, that's probably the best, you know, the best thing. Anyway, yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for us. Like I said before, all of these tires are work in progress, so there's definitely some things we can probably iron out with them. But honestly, man, they're feeling good. I could not be more excited for the future of bikes with this OEM update, with the factory update that just came out. Like, man, bikes, it's a good time to be playing bikes right now, boys. Not gonna lie. Everyone be talking about the game being dead, but it's not dead, my friend. I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. We hit 10K. I know, I thought that was a while ago, but I still just can't believe we hit 10K, so I'm gonna thank you again. And we hit 20K over on TikTok. Over there on TikTok, hit 20K, which is actually stupid. So thanks for that. Man, I haven't done one of these in a while, but man, if you guys need anything, you know, if you guys are going through anything, something's going on in your life that's hard, you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't have any friends, or maybe you do have friends, but you don't feel like you can open up to them, and you want to open up to a stranger on the internet, let that stranger be me, not some creep in a Discord server. Well, I guess I am in a Discord server. Anyway, but if you guys need something, I'm serious though, if you guys need something, you guys are going through something in life, I would love to try and be there for you, be the friend that you need, and just share the love of Jesus with you, you know. And yeah, anyway, I just thought I would put that out there. Life can be difficult sometimes, and sometimes all you need is somebody to vent to. So if you need to vent, let Docky Walkie be the vent. Anyway, alright boys, I love you. I hope you have a blessed day. Be very excited for what's coming in bikes, because it's quite litty. Peace!